Hello everyone, my name is Nine and welcome to episode 3 of my Meet My Household series. And in today's episode, we're gonna be talking about Nikita's younger brother, Demario, and also we're gonna see if we can squeeze in her younger sister, Cassie, as well. Now, I realized I did these videos completely out of order, and I'm just going with the flow and how I feel about the type of content that I'm making for that specific day. Now, I've actually recorded this audio before, and I'm just going over it again because I felt like it was too distorted and rushed. So we're slowing down, and it's the perfect time for it because our sponsor for today's video is Cloudy Skies and Watery Eyes. Does that one work? So yeah, I'm gonna go with it. Sad skies and watery eyes. The weather is very bleak and there's a slight drizzle outside, but it's absolutely gorgeous. Now, I know I did these videos out of order and I do apologize if it's hard to follow, but in future, once the Let's Play portion starts, this will simply be a way for me to have, not for me, but for you to make reference to if you ever need to. Also, we're trying to catch up with the timeline because the timeline has gone very far ahead. But we're gonna get into this video. Feel free to grab a cup of tea. I know I will be having one. So let's get into it. Okay, so first off, we're gonna get into Demario. Now, there's a lot to cover about every other household, maybe not so much Demario, considering that I never played with him as much, but I do love him very dearly. So, Demario, as a child, he was a very quiet kid. He is the youngest of his cousins, and most of the time, it's not that he's left behind, it's more of him not being able to catch up with their extroverted nature. And he found it harder to, keep up with their shenanigans half the time, but he grew up really well. As I mentioned before in Nikita's video, when they were teenagers, their mother left them to go marry someone else, and around that time he decided to work at a retail store in Solani, and he did really well and he kept that job up until he went to college, and he painted pictures, and that's when around that time is when he got into selling his artwork. Before, he was simply creating it for himself, but then he managed to get a really good patron and they could make really good exchanges. So he started selling his artwork. He went to the University of Rochester, and that's where he studied. I think he did one of the fine arts degree. I think it was arts and history, and he graduated with a distinguished degree. He graduated with an honors degree. Is it honors? I think he did it as a distinguished degree, and he passed with like a B, like a B plus or like a B minus. I don't remember, but he, after college, well, while he was in college, he met his current girlfriend, Dahlia Brooker. Sorry, my neighbor just called me. So, as I was saying, when he was in university, he met Dahlia Brooker. And Dahlia Brooker, I think, I don't remember I don't remember who her parents are, but it's someone from the BFF household. And someone else, I'm not sure. But they met in high school, and not high school, in university, because they were studying the same degree. And of course, after university, they continued to date, but I wouldn't say they were dating seriously. And actually, after university, after they both graduated, Caitlin Pancakes, you haven't met her yet, but we'll also talk about her. Caitlin and Dahlia moved into an apartment together in Evergreen Harbor. Around the time, Evergreen Harbor wasn't the safest. Evergreen Harbor isn't the safest place in my safety either. And they moved there around the time when things were getting bad because the prices were so low, because the violence was so high. And and Demario, he moved back to Solani, and he started living with his sister, Cassie, and Renee, who is Cassie's godfather and Cassie's legal guardian. And when he moved in, he instantly was like, okay, Cassie's almost graduating, that's fine. And he told Dahlia to come live with him. Well, he didn't necessarily be like, hey, live with me, but and they decided to live together, and Dahlia got on a plane, she moved to Solani, and they were there for a while, and they were thinking of buying a house, of course moving again and starting life, of course. So they decided to move to Newcrest, which is a new housing development area that was developing. They were planning to put some houses there and some schools and a hospital, and it was supposed to be an extension of the big city of San Myshuno. And of course, they were thinking of creating a business district, Mongolia Promenade, and which was right next to Evergreen Harbor. And they decided that that's where they were going to go. They saw some listings. They spoke to the real estate agent. They just had to come up with the money. And at first, Mario was like, I'm going to sell the house. And Dahlia, of course, convinced him not to sell the house, because she's like, when your sister goes off to college, what's going to happen to her? She won't have anywhere to come back to. She won't have her home anymore if you sell the house. So let's just work up all this money and we can do it. So they stayed in Solani, and they worked, and they did odd jobs. Excuse me. And they worked and did odd jobs, and they saved up about 100 simoleons, and then they got a loan from the bank for the balance. I think the balance was probably like 73,000 or something along those lines. But they moved into their new house, and it was nice. And they're not planning on having children anytime soon. I'll insert a clip of me reading like their house description and like somewhere here, probably at the end. But yeah, there's that. They moved into a new house, and Mario was like, well, we have this house. Do you think we should start thinking about kids or getting married? And Dahlia, of course, she was like, yo, listen, I'm still figuring myself out. I'm fresh out of college. I'm not trying to be married to you right now, or have a child, so we can just enjoy each other's company for a while. So I think that is really cute, because I don't really have a family that is like that. Most of my families are like children now, babies. I'm kidding. I don't play. I play very realistically, and I make my Sims make decisions that I would. So I don't think, like, young adult, I feel is too young to have a child. Fresh out of college, too young to have a child. I know that time works differently in The Sims, but I just can't wrap my brain around it. Because if you're fresh out of college, I'm assuming, right? And if one term is usually 1 week, I'm thinking 1 week is like a year in Sims time, right? So that means you're probably like 24 at best. 24 at best. I'm like, well, I'm 22, by the way, and I could never. I could never. But anyhow, that's them. They're just my quiet, non-problematic family. They're my white picket fence. And we're also going to cover Cassie in this video, so we're just going to talk about her now. So Cassie just graduated from high school. Granted, I haven't played with her a lot, but I've played with her somewhat. She was student council president. She hosted the first prom. She was like the organizer for a prom in her year. There isn't a lot of people or a lot of kids and families that I play around her age. There are two, Norma and Riku, and that is simply because Norma and Riku live in Montgomery. And I don't think if someone lives in Solani and someone lives in Montgomery that they'd ever know each other. However, I do feel like Cassie vaguely remembers their mother from her childhood when she'd go visit her auntie Elsa, because Elsa and Marjorie, which is Riku, and Norma's mother were best friends, and they traveled to see each other, but we get into that later. So Cassie, she's just a good kid. For the most part, she's a good kid. Very quiet. I think she's dated 2 people, and right now it's a good thing they didn't sell the house, because she hasn't gone to college, because she can't decide whether or not she wants to stay in Solani and be I don't know what you call it. She wants to develop the area. She loves her hometown. She loves where she grew up. She loves her country. And she wants it to be better, so she doesn't know how to do that. She doesn't know if she should go into philanthropy and build schools and community lots and modernize the world, or be a government official, or not a government official, but someone who speaks for the people. Or should she be a teacher, or should she be a marine biologist? She works as a lifeguard for the most part, and I feel like while doing her lifeguard duties, she has been trying to get Solani to a better place, a shinier place. But she just hasn't gotten to it, and she doesn't know what she should do yet. She hasn't decided. There isn't much to talk about Cassie, because I don't play with her as much, like I said. but also because her story is pretty blank and it's just the beginning, and I'm really excited to watch it unfold with all of you as soon as we start playing. I'm currently doing some background work in my save file because I want to put more lots down, and I want the areas to look a certain way and certain areas to be a certain way, and it's taking up a lot of time simply because I'm lazy and I'd rather read webtoons and manga. And yes, I digress. But anyways, so that's gonna be it for Cassie. There isn't really much to talk about her with. She's a very good sim doll, and I love her. She has potential, you know. And I haven't played with her generation yet. So I haven't played with her, and I haven't played with Riku nor Norma for a while. And Riku and Norma we'll cover when we cover the Conway Dells, but I really want to get the Bjorkson family covered. And I realized in my last video I didn't really cover Alexandra and Joseph and what they who they are. I just talked about their parents, so I might do a one-off episode about them, but I might not. You might have to figure it out as we go along, or we'll talk about it later. We can always talk about it later. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this in. I ended the video way too quickly, so I'm gonna just briefly read Cassie's household description. It says, Cassie has finished high school and is trying to figure out what to do next. Her elder siblings have all gone off and are happy in their preferred jobs. Should she focus on her dream of having a daycare, or should she become a marine biologist? Whatever she decides, it needs to be soon because she can't pay bills working as a lifeguard. Yeah, so that's Cassie, and we'll get into Demario now. So, Demario and Dahlia had a slow start, but have moved into a new home and adopted a kitten. Marriage and children are not on their minds as they enjoy each other for as long as they can. Alright, and one more time, we're going to wrap up this video because I can't believe I've done it so terribly. I'm like, just refilm everything, but it's okay. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I apologize for any noise that you may have heard in the background or how choppy the audio might be. I ended up having to re-record this a little bit more than I'd like. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have an amazing morning.